University students to hold a series of protests to demand an end to the UTAG strike as public universities face closure on day 21 of the industrial action.
The language is one, that if the strike action does not come to an end, if it has to even take series of protests on our university campuses, they would lead the students to embark on it.
Meanwhile, some students have begun packing out of school as there are no signs of compromise by the parties.
Most students are considering going. Myself, I'm considering going home.
Yes, my dad said I should get back home by Friday. If I don't get anything from the lectures, probably I might get back.
So with time, if the strike is not coming to an end, we'll surely go home.
We'll take you around various campuses, hear from the Education Ministry and the striking lecturers. Also, no room for compromise. That's according to the General Secretary of the NDC, as he declares the party will not support anything besides an outright rejection of the E-levy.
Them that this E-levy must be taken back and then repackaged, engage all those who needed to be engaged. If it will take you 6 months to reintroduce it, by that time, all this work would have been.
More as the minority in Parliament pushes for a no E-levy debate in the absence of the Speaker, Alban Badbin.
Advice to the majority side is that we should wait until the Speaker comes back. We want the Speaker to preside, then we'll vote on the matter.
We have details of these stories, plus the latest in business, sports, and entertainment here on John News Prime. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. I'm Ernest Minu. Stay with us for details. Hello again, thanks for choosing us. And public universities education is at crossroads again. The fate of thousands of students hang in the balance as the strike by the University Teachers Association enters day 21. By convention, public universities are to be shut down after 21 days of no academic work. So what happens? We'll find out shortly. But at the University of Ghana, students have begun packing out due to the imminent shutdown. Manuel Cranton was there and now reports.
The fourth week of that impasse between UTAG members and the government of Ghana. The lecturers are demanding better conditions of service. But government, on the other hand, says it is engaging. While this engagement continues, it's 4 weeks already with no academic activity on the various university campuses. The last time this happened was in 1995, when the various public universities in Ghana were shut down for close to a year. The same situation is staring us in the face again, begging to repeat itself. Well, I've come to the University of Ghana to speak to some students who are contemplating and considering moving out of campus altogether up until when government settles the issues with UTAG. To my left are Ajubi and Kelly, and my right are Nicholas and Abena. Let me start with you, Kelly. You've been on campus all 3 weeks while your lecturers were on strike. We're in the fourth week. What have you been doing?
As you know, we come to school for academic activities, but this is the situation where no academic activities going on at all. One could say, okay, you're in school with friends, so have group studies, but then we don't have course outlines, we don't have reading materials even. So what do we do? Most of my friends have gone home. Most of my friends are already at home. Most of my friends even come to school at all because they were like, what am I coming to do? And I agree with them. So me, for instance, if by the end of this week nothing happens, I'm sure I'll just move home.
Well, let me bring in Ajubi into the conversation. Ajubi, just get a bit closer. Talk to me about what your own situation has been.
Since we came to school, it's only one lecturer, I think, who has sent us his course outline. The other courses have not sent us anything. So basically, there's nothing to learn. Being on campus, I feel like I'm wasting time. So I was even thinking about going for an exchange program, a year abroad, and then come back. Then maybe by the time I return to school, maybe things will be back on track, academic-wise, because this is clearly a waste of time. We can't pay huge amounts of fees and hostel fees and you don't teach us, you just leave because of your condition. I understand them as teachers that, okay, you need a better pay because of your job. But I mean, the government should also think about us students, because right now we've paid and we are ready to learn, but nothing is happening.
So who are you blaming? I hear you say, well, you agree that they can demand better conditions of service, but they should also think about the students. Is that a blame on the lecturers?
I'm not blaming them. They're entitled to their rights to demand their pay, because you can't work and they are not giving you the right amount of money you need. Okay. So the government should listen to their cry and attend to them, because I think it's the best thing they should be doing right now.
Do you agree with that assertion that government should listen to UTAG, regardless of the fact that UTAG's persistent, absence from classes is going to affect you?
I disagree, because if government does not respond to UTAG the way they want it, and they are able to come to an agreement and they say that, okay, come in later after a month, we'll get back to you. And what if they don't? And it will continue again and continue again. Next year, we'll still be seeing this. So they should just solve it now, so that we, in the long term, we won't be going on and on and on with it again. So I think this is the right time for them to settle it. So, yes.
Considering leaving campus, are you?
For me, yes. My dad said I should get back home by Friday. If I don't get anything from the lecturers, probably I might get back, because sending money and all, my dad is saying that I'm spending too much, looking at what he's seen in the news and all of that, yes.
And this situation is pretty much the same for a lot of your other colleagues. Let me bring in Abna into the conversation. Abna, people are, going home. Their parents, giving them pressure to come back home. Are your parents asking you to come back home?
Same pressure everywhere, especially regarding the finance involved, because parents made an agreement with their wards that after every 2 weeks or after every month, I am going to send you this amount of money. But this is the case where you've been in school for about 3 weeks, you call home to ask for money, and they tell you, what have you used the money for? After all, you're not learning. And so that's the situation that students have had to deal with over the last 3 weeks. And so yes, most students are considering going. Myself, I'm considering going home, because I was on campus simply because most of my colleagues who I'm in the same research group with for our final year proposal are on campus, and then we all agree that we could work on our final year projects. But unfortunately for us, when we send our lecturer, messages with regards to our research, there's no response, and the message is loud and clear that we are on strike, and so I can't respond to your questions on your research as well. So I think the best decision at the moment, especially when parents have also decided not to give their wards money, is to go home.
So that's a report from the University of Ghana campus. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Dr. Samuel Nkumban. He is the president of the Legon chapter of UTAG. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Joy News Prime. Have there been any attempts to engage you after the strike entered day 21?
Unfortunately, no. I must indicate that we've had 2 meetings after our engagement with the National Labour Commission.
Okay.
The first with the Vice Chancellor's Ghana, the second with the Minister of Education. And in those meetings, basically the conversation had to do with appealing to UTAG to return to the classrooms, whilst they, as interested stakeholders, take action in terms of mediating and also engaging with government to ensure that what it is that UTAG is demanding is done and said. And so basically those are the 2 meetings that we've had, and I must indicate it's close to 2 weeks since then, and there hasn't been any call-up or there's no engagement in relation to that. Except, of course, also the Minister of Education indicating that they made a press series yesterday that he's going to engage with us. We've not had any engagement since.
In those meetings, were there timelines and as to when they will get back to you with their interventions?
Oh, no, certainly those are not meetings that would have timelines, because Vice Chancellor Ghana, for example, is not in the position to commit government into doing anything for UTAG. Neither is the Minister of Education in that position. And so it is for fair wages that is supposed to be the mediating agent in terms of negotiating fair wages. And I emphasize the word fair wages, because if we have to have fair wages, then of course where UTAG finds itself is not where we should be in the scheme of things when it comes to fair wages. And so if it is not involving fair wages and Ministry of Finance that holds the purse of the country, then of course there is no indication that there is an end in sight.
The NLC dragged you to court. Have you entered appearance, and what is next in that process?
Well, of course, it's a legal process, and the National Labour Commission, you would recall, they went to court to seek an ex parte injunction on the strike, and thankfully, so to speak, the court didn't grant that because they didn't want to serve as notice. They wanted to get that at our blind side, so to speak. And unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us, so to speak, the court didn't grant it, and so they had to serve us on notice. And so we've put together a legal team to respond accordingly. Also recall that in last year we had to declare this same kind of action and suspended it on grounds of government deciding that they were going to treat us fairly and to engage with us more meaningfully in ensuring that we have improved conditions of service. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. We had 1 month period within between 23rd of August and 22nd of September of last year to have resolved all of these outstanding matters. And we are in January. And so for us, and the National Labour Commission didn't do anything on the side of government to bring them to order in terms of failing to abide by the agreements that we had signed, which were literally brokered by the National Labour Commission. And so for UTAG, it's a break point.
Are you open to an out-of-court settlement?
We did that before. And you remember that in August of last year, the National Labour Commission was at court. And we had to get the case out of court because we needed to engage and to be able to resolve the matters. We did. And then we were given 1 month within which to resolve all our standing issues. 23rd August to September 22, it didn't happen. We were magnanimous enough because we had not completed the academic year for many of the universities to stay on until end of December. November 11, we served notice that if by end of December nothing happened, this action was going to happen. 11th November of last year. 23rd December of this last year, we served notice again as a reminder to the fact that if by close of December this didn't happen, then of course we were going to have this action happen. So I don't see where UTAG is at fault in this matter.
Well, we'll see how that goes in court, Dr. Nkuba, but kindly hold the line for me. Let's get an update on what is happening in other universities across the country. Central Region correspondent Richard Kojinyako reports that some students at the University of Cape Coast have begun forming study groups to make up for the time lost, while others have left campus due to the high cost of feeding.
Here on the campus of the University of Cape Coast, the campus is completely deserted. Most of the students have left and they are home now. Others are contemplating leaving because they are doing virtually nothing on campus. Most of them complain that they are gradually exhausting their full staff, and they fear that if they do not go home, they might completely spend every money that was given to them by their parent. For the university management, what they have done is to open the university's main library very early. The departmental library and the hall libraries have also been open. Some of the students have been utilizing this opportunity. They've been going there to read. Others are also exploring the option of forming groups. So others have actually formed groups, and they have sought the assistance of some of their seniors to assist them in going through some of the materials they will be using during this semester. For the freshmen and women on campus, their wish was that they would have tasted lecturing by now, because they have been saddled, or they have been accustomed to teaching in the senior high schools, but that hasn't been the case. They are frustrated, they are dejected, they are like a flock of sheep without a shepherd, and they do not know what to do.
We are begging, we are pleading. It's not easy for us here. Yeah, so that's what I can say.
Campus is deserted. A lot of your guys are going home. Yes. Some have not even come at all. Yes. I mean, what are you contemplating doing?
Currently, we are forming a group studies. We biomedical science students, we have a group study section in the group. So every day in the out, we try to meet 2 hours or 3 hours. We started maybe the courses that we are studying, so that we took some slide for our seniors. Then they will teach us small, showing 1 or 2 things, so that you have to do before the lecture will comes and come and teach us. Yeah, so we're hoping that we catch up with some small things so that the lectures come, we flow, everything flow.
As I'm speaking to you, day in, day out, we are spending. And you came with a budget. Your parents have planned that this is a period that you are supposed to stay on campus, and this is the money that you are expected to use. And as now, nothing is going on. We are spending, and it is actually affecting us. So with time, if the strike is not coming to an end, we'll surely go home. So we are appealing to government that they should listen to their concern and attend to them so that they will come and continue with us.
The plea of the student here is that government should immediately, as a matter of necessity, sit down with the university lecturers and then talk about their issues so that they would return to the classroom. From the University of Cape Coast campus, my name is Richard Kwejenyakon for Joy News.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Dr. Samuel Nkumba is still with us. Doc, thank you for holding on. So clearly, your students across the country are frustrated. There's a plea for you to call off the strike. Wouldn't you say that at this point, day 21, the message has been clearly sent and that government would have to act? For which reason you may want to call off the strike?
I must indicate that UTAG is as equally frustrated as our students are because we've been at this since 2019. And so to have had engagement since 2019 that have not yielded results as yet in 2022 is something that we need to be considering as a country. Is it because that government has no priority for tertiary education and doesn't consider it as a worthy partner in terms of the developmental needs of our country? If it does, then of course the expectation will be that government will be interested in attending to the needs of tertiary education. Particularly so, that to be a critical example that at the close of the year 2008, during the erstwhile Kufuor administration, the entry point of a lecturer with a PhD ought to have been at $1,500 payable to the equivalent. Assuming that nothing changed, and we were at the same level as of 2008. Today, what it will imply is that at $6.5 cedis to a dollar, it would mean that the base pay of an entry point of a lecturer will be 9,750 Ghana cedis. Is that what we get? Senior lecturer, as I say, my base pay is literally 5,100 Ghana cedis. A professor doesn't get 7,000 Ghana cedis. And so it is a critical matter that needs critical engagement, and government must get serious if they think that tertiary education matters.
So the strike continues?
For UTAG, yes, and we are also hoping against hope and waiting for the decision of the court.
Dr. Samuel,
on Thursday.
I'm grateful that you could join us. That's Dr. Samuel Nkumba. He's president of the Legon chapter of UTAG. In the Ashanti region, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah spent time at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Here's his report.
My name is Winfred Edoe Champon, second year computer science. I came to school on 15th January around 3 p.m. and it's been a while since I came in. There's been no class, no school activities, and I'm planning on going home this weekend because I've been spending money which I'm supposed to be spending during classes hours and all this stuff. And I think it would be the best idea for me right now is to go home so that I will save all this money and come back when they return from strike and spend all this money. Yeah.
I am Bob from NCMC, a student of Kenya State level 100, and I'm here to pursue Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. And I'm planning to go home tomorrow because of the UTAG strike. And this is because there's no academic activities going on here. That's why I want to go home and also I want to save the money which.
My name is Maureen Jones. I'm in level 100 and I've been in school since opening date. That was on 8th January. And as for how UTAG has been affecting my studies how UTAG has been affecting me personally, the motivation and determination that I came into this school year with for academics is just slowly dissipating. And I plan on leaving sometime this week because I'm just wasting my money and time here. Similarly, my two other roommates aren't currently on campus because of those reasons. They've also left, they are also at home, and then they're just waiting, hoping that the strike will probably end very soon.
My name is Novri K. Francis, Media and Communications, second year. I came to school on last week Friday, and well, I plan on going back this Friday. That's if nothing positive comes out of the court case, I think on the 3rd February. So it has affected me, the strike has affected me a lot because no academic activities, and I can't also be here wasting resources as well. So I'll just go home and wait for any positive development that will come out after maybe the court case or something. Thank you.
From the KNUST campus, let me take you to Tamale, to the University for Development Studies campus, where correspondent Martina Bugri has been monitoring events there.
The entrance of the campuses of the UDS, students are seen loitering around. Whilst others chit-chatted, others were resting in their hostels, with a few in the university's library. But these students have one wish in common, that their lecturers return to the lecture hall. Some of the students have been speaking to Joy News.
It's like the fun is to come from home knowing that we are coming to study. But now there's no lectures, there are no classes going on, expenditure is going on. We have assignments, and like most lecturers are saying, after the strike, they will let us write midterms and end of sem. The pressure is going to be on us, and the one student with plenty calls, the pressure will be much. So if anything can be done.
This is my final year, and we have a lot of proposals and projects to write. So due to the strike, our supervisors are also on strike, so they are not supervising the work and giving us the corrections to do. So everything is just dormant, there's nothing moving ahead. And I guess in our hostels, sleeping and spending money, but nothing. So, and there's also stress, because I know when the strike is lifted, there will be too much pressure on us to complete our project work and proposals and also our case studies.
Because of the strike, when we came back from the break, we haven't come for lectures, and we are just at the hostel, spending our food and money. And a gallon of water is 150 pesos. So in a week, you can buy a gallon of water like 12 cedis. And you don't come for lectures. We are just spending our resources.
For the level 100 students who are yet to find their feet on campus, it is total confusion. They are wondering what will happen to them in the next coming days if lectures do not start.
Yeah, we are freshers, and since we came, we were supposed to report on 5th. We came on 5th and up to date, no lectures for us. So we are all confused. We don't know what we are doing now. Since 5th we are here and nothing is happening. Anywhere you go, they say that they are on strike, no teaching. As you can see my colleagues sitting down. There is nothing going on campus. We are suffering. A lot of us are suffering. Mostly all of us, we are all suffering. We don't even know where we are hanging. We came and rent rooms. Now, next year by this time, we have to renew the rooms. And they are not teaching us. We don't know when the strike will be over. Is it today, tomorrow, or next year?
It's like I'm confused. I don't know what actually is going on. Because I just came, I was expecting lectures to go on, but when I came, they said lectures are on strike, so they don't definitely know when they are coming back. So I'm just walking around. I just want to learn something, but I don't actually know what I'm supposed to learn. That's my
okay, so it means that you are a first year student?
Yeah, I'm a first year student.
Okay.
So I just don't know what is going on.
So you want to learn, but you don't know what to learn. Okay.
But I have some of my course mates. They have given us slides to read. But that's, I'll read, but I'll not get the concept.
So that paints the picture for you about how students are reacting to the 21-day-old strike by UTAG. We can now hear from the president of the University Student Association, Dr. Christian Philip Ama, who says they will be leading a series of protests to demand the return of their lecturers to the lecture hall. He spoke on Newsdesk.
Happened in the 90s, and some of our lecturers who are currently teaching us were affected. Some of them were students. And they shared how they had to spend or overstay 1 year in school. And so we We do not want that situation to happen. That is why all over social media, and also having meetings with the stakeholders from UTAG, Ministry of Education, the National Labour Commission, we are bent on making sure that our lecturers return to the classroom. If for nothing at all, Ghanaian students have paid fees and we demand to be taught. We have paid fees, academic facility user fee, wherever we have paid, and we demand to be taught. And you see, the image out there, we have international students as well, who have also paid to be here. And what image are we sending out there? So is Ghana the destination where we want international students to always come and have education and benefit from the education we are giving to our people? And this strike action, you know, is very expensive. These international students, the fees they pay, it's not easy. This just ended week. We've had a series of meetings with all the SRC presidents in the country. And the language is one, that if this strike action does not come to an end, if it has to even take series of protests on our university campuses, they would lead the students to embark on it. Because enough is enough.
This is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Still to come, no room for compromise. That's according to the General Secretary of the NDC, as he declares the party will not support anything besides the outright rejection of the E-levy.
I've suggested to them that this E-levy must be taken back and then repackaged, engage all those who needed to be engaged. If it will take you 6 months to reintroduce it, by that time all this work would have been.
We have more as the minority in Parliament pushes for a no E-levy debate in the absence of the Speaker, Alban Badin.
Advice to the majority side is that we should wait until the Speaker comes back. We want the Speaker to preside, then we'll vote on the matter.
Details of these and more after the break. Please stay with us.
Expect a 20% pesos per litre increase in prices of petroleum products from tomorrow if the price recovery and stabilization level is reinstated. That's according to the forecast by the Institute of Energy Securities. This is as a result of an 8.52% increase in the price of Brent crude, as well as a marginal depreciation in the cedi to the dollar. Take a listen to Nana Mwasi the Executive Director of the Institute of Economic Securities there, calling for some reprieve in taxes.
Demand is growing, meanwhile supply has fallen on the global stage. And so whilst we see international prices go up, definitely it will hit the local markets until we find mechanisms that are more sustainable beyond the price of stabilization and COVID levy to address these matters. For now, we are largely exposed to supply and price shocks because the Tamoyo refinery is not working, the BOS strategic fuel system is not working, the cedi is still depreciating and it's not holding the strength against the US dollar.
Not looking that good, but what buffers must be injected to save consumers from these price buildups?
What readily comes to mind is asking government to remove some of the taxes and levies. But then, where we stand today, where we are, battling with E-levy and the rest, it's difficult to call for a removal of any form of taxes or levies. But then, let's also avert our mind to this. Whilst international prices goes up because we also trade our crude oil that we produce as a country, we are getting more revenue. So there's a windfall there. Government can look at this windfall and maybe extract 1 or 2 taxes or levies from the price build-up.
Now, the 4 price hikes will definitely affect LPG. Gabriel Kumi is Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, and he tells Joy Business the consumption of LPG will continue to decline as many consumers can no longer afford the recent cost.
Currently, LPG consumption in Ghana is on the decline. On the surface, it's very stagnant. The consumption is very stagnant. For the past 1 year, we've been stagnating. We've been doing about an average of 28,000 metric tons a month. And naturally, population is growing. So the natural expectation is that as population grows, there should be that natural growth. LPG should be growing by at least the growth in our population. But we are not witnessing that. LPG consumption in Ghana is stagnating. It's stagnated. And if you look at the real figures, you see that consumption is coming down. And we think that is not too good for a country that is wishing to push consumption to about 50,000 metric tons per month.
So how can the price build-ups? How can the price build-ups, as we've heard from the IS, further deepen the woes of consumption?
Obviously, as I did indicate, LPG is a product with an elastic demand. Any percent increase in the price of LPG goes a long way to reduce consumption of the product. So as prices are going up, the obvious thing you should expect is that less and less people are going to consume LPG. There is no way we are going to grow consumption of LPG if we are to keep prices of the product at where it is now. That is why we have been calling for a total scrap of all taxes on LPG.
And that was an interview there with Gabriel Kumi earlier on the marketplace. Away from that, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has maintained the rate at which it lends to commercial banks in the country. The committee left the rate at 14.5% after a meeting to review the economy. Of course, we shall be having more update on this one, especially as we take a look at the impact on the economy. But the Bank of Ghana has pledged to continue creating an enabling environment to efficiently empower banks to carry out their role of financial intermediation. This, it believes, will accelerate economic growth and development. We have more in this report.
Speaking at the commissioning of the Republic Bank Head Office Annex, termed the Republic Court, Governor Dr. Ernest Addison said his outfit continues to keenly monitor all banks to ensure the stability and soundness of the industry. He urged the Republic Bank to keep the pace with the shift towards electronic-driven products and services.
It has been almost 2 years since the comprehensive reforms ended to restore credibility and confidence to the banking system. Since then, the Bank of Ghana has issued a number of directives, including the corporate governance disclosure requirements, which promotes and enhances transparency and accountability to stakeholders. The bank continues to keenly monitor all banks to ensure the stability and soundness of the industry. With the current advances in technology and the growth of fintechs in the financial service space, we encourage the Republic Bank to keep pace with the shift towards electronic-driven products and services. In line with the objective of customer centralism, we expect that financial digitization will shape banking business to compete with fintechs in the payment system space.
Senior advisor to the president, Yao Safo-Mafo, who represented the president, advised the bank to emulate its parent bank's participation in the oil and gas industry.
Your parent bank, Republic Financial Holdings Limited, RFHL, of Trinidad and Tobago, has been very instrumental in the development of the oil and gas industry in the Caribbean. And I urge the Republic Bank to carry that expertise here. Let us see you diversify and get involved into the oil and gas industry in our dear Ghana. We will be happy to see this bank grow further because of what you have demonstrated, that you are a good corporate citizen.
On his part, Managing Director of Republic Bank Ghana, Farid Anta, said the building is a statement to Ghana, expressing confidence that their current location will enhance their presence and brand equity.
The Republic Court, as we have named this location, an enviable, imposing, and magnificent design of a building, if I do say so myself, a statement to Ghana that we are here to stay, to Ghanaians that we are here, that we are the one for them, and the banking industry that we are indeed a force to be reckoned with.
The ceremony was graced by government officials, Osu Traditional Council, Chair, board members, and staff of Republic Bank.
That'll be all for business. We have sports coming up. Do stay.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segments live here on the Joy News Prime with me, Oreku Ampofo. Former Ghana international Mohamed Polo wants the Ghana Football Association to consider his experience in football and hand him the Black Stars job. The FA is in search of a new manager following the sacking of Milovan Rajovac after a disappointing campaign at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations. Joy Sports understand that Dortmund assistant coach Otto Addo and Chris Hughton are the two favorites for the role. Both coaches spent major parts in their lives in Europe. Now, Mohamed Polo believes the job will befit a local coach like himself who knows the terrain.
What kind of system is it? I feel very sad that some of us are in the system and Ghana football is struggling. Wallahi. The way God has given me the talent to play football. Nobody taught me how to play football. But I have a coach. That was my teachers, Makranta teachers. I went to school too. And my teachers in school were my coaches because they selected us. I played for us. I have a coach. I play for the national team. They selected me. Those who selected me, but I was not taught how to play football. Today, what I see in football, you got to be taught what to do. You got to be given some added value to play football. And that is where the training is. I don't know what is happening.
The Teranga Lions can end the Africa Cup of Nations drought in Cameroon this time. Senegal made it to the semi-finals after beating Equatorial Guinea by 3-1.
Obviously, I think you can't feel anything else about. I think the more important for us is the victory we had it. So we are very proud, very happy.
Senegalese people say that this is the best game you have played in the AFCON. Do you believe that?
I don't know. As soon as I'm winning, I think all the game is for me is the best. Obviously, maybe. Of course, I know people are always looking for nice football, try to create chance, score, and spectacle. It's normal, which is normal. But as a football player, you can't expect all the time this. I think doing this without winning, I think is not.
Sadio, your role has evolved. You don't play as a pure striker. We saw you in defense, in attack, in midfield. You are all round.
Yeah, my friend, it's my job. I have to do it because I think it's really important for me, for the boys, to make sure we win the game. So Sadio, by winning, you have to do all the sacrifices.
Sadio, you said that
this is the year for Senegal and they don't have any excuse. They have to win. Does that put you guys under pressure when your president says you have to win?
No, I think he just says his opinion, but as a player, I think we are mature enough to not take ourselves into this kind of pressure. We're going to take by game. You know, football sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't work, but we have an objective we need to go far, and why not win? If we can't win, let's go on.
Well, Senegal face Burkina Faso in the semi-finals of the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations on Wednesday. We bring you live commentary of that game on Joy 99.7 FM. But before we go, Rafael Nadal has revealed the 2022 Australian Open final was one of his most emotional games of his illustrious career. The Spaniard won a record 21st Grand Slam title after beating Daniil Medvedev. Well, that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on the Joy News Prime. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
And Becky is here. She has the very latest in the world of showbiz. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you.
Good to have you.
Good to have you too. Congratulations to Rihanna. I can't wait to tell you that story.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Diana Hamilton because
our favorite Diana.
Yes, my favorite. Yeah. She's added her voice to the conversation about the E-levy policy, and she is saying that the final decision of government or the people involved should favor all Ghanaians. Basically, that's her take. She doesn't know a lot about, you know, the conversation that is going on.
I guess she's not followed because she's been up to a lot.
You know, I mean, there's experience concepts coming up and all that. But the final decision should favor all Ghanaians. Diana Hamilton.
Your Ghana card.
Oh, but somebody did show one.
Oh no, I'm just asking.
Okay.
No, I want to get to know the other side of Diana Hamilton. I mean, yeah, the other time you came, I don't want us to revisit the questions or the interviews we've done. I'm sure you've heard of the E-levy.
Hey, Randy. I've heard people talk about it, but I don't know much about what I know they want to charge on
transactions, on mobile money transactions.
Yeah,
yes.
That's what I've heard.
What's your take on what you've heard so far?
My sister was me because me knew but I think it's a topic for discussion at the moment, that there's a lot of debates going on, and so I pray that the will of the Ghanaians is what will work, as in the decision that will be taken will favor the Ghanaian. That's what I would like to say, that whatever decision that comes out of that, I pray that it favors the Ghanaian. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess that's what we've all been talking about, exactly. That it must be in the interest of the Ghanaian, definitely.
But no normal Ghanaian.
Yeah.
But she also took the opportunity to appreciate the multimedia group for their contribution to her success in the music industry. She had a whole citation that was presented to Don Chega on Hits FM.
Okay.
Yeah. You must be here to share.
No, I'm super grateful. I think I didn't do Christmas in Ghana, so I would have loved to do Christmas with multimedia at the time when we're having Christmas, and I wasn't here. And I thought this morning is actually a great time whilst I'm having a chat with you, to just appreciate the whole of the multimedia team. So I brought you my little. Should I open my?
Sure, Don, please. I've always been opening. In fact, you are the best person to open it.
It's a pleasure. Wow.
No, show it to camera. Show it to camera. People show it on camera.
Wow.
Yes. You see the ambulance. You see now the ambulance is coming out of you.
So this says citation of appreciation. This citation is presented to the multimedia group. We have Joy FM, we have Hits FM, we have Adum FM, we have Insura, Love, and Asempa, for the positive exposure given to Diana Hamilton Ministries throughout the years. Your unwavering support for the activities of the ministry has been far-reaching, and the nations have been blessed. Thank you to the management and staff of the multimedia group for the opportunity to use your medium to spread Jesus. May this cordiality be maintained in the coming years, and God bless you all in your endeavors. Diana Hamilton, signed.
Wow.
All right, so this is, it's touching. And
yeah, so thank you to Diana.
We thank you too. We
love you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And we'll come for experience on the 13th of...
Yeah, definitely. I will be there. The experience concert. I was there the last one before COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, at ICGC, Sakumono.
So you don't have to miss this one. This one is actually at Perez Dome.
At Perez Dome, this closer.
Yeah,
great.
So you can just pass on. But let's talk about Celestine Donko, beautiful Celestine Donko, because she's released an EP. The first time a gospel musician is releasing an EP. She calls it testimony therapy. IB was there and he came through with this report.
Are you ready for Testimony Therapy is the title of the EP released by Celestine Donko at the Spirited Hotel last night, and indeed testimonies poured in.
He has been very supportive of me and my ministry, and also seeing all the work she's put into it. People from Kenya, people from Tanzania, Nigeria, I see that she's really put in a lot of work, and the songs are amazing, really. So I'm encouraging you guys to please get it, listen to it on Boomplay and all the streaming platforms.
Well, for me, I wasn't surprised, because Celestine is one person that always want to go outside, she moves from her comfort zone. So seeing Celestine doing more of collaboration with this EP, I think is the best thing for her to do. And for me, I am so happy. I'm so excited, because it's a great move for all of us today.
She's very strict. She knows what she wants. As I said inside there, she's like a musical lyric person. So when you're in the studio with her, she wants to hear a certain sound, a certain progression.
which makes it very comfortable for me as an artist, because it takes me straight to the point. I don't need to now go and rethink and reinvent something or something. So it's amazing. I mean, the songs on the EP are just lovely, and I think this EP is going to put Ghana on the map with the right push and the right direction.
I have a testimony, a testimony. I never would be.
The EP launch, which was graced by some men of God, had the Agbegbelo songstress Celestine Donko perform 3 songs from the EP. Testimony Therapy features MOG from Ghana, Steve Crown from Nigeria, Joel Luaga from Tanzania, Mercy Masika, Kenya, and Angel Bernard, also from Tanzania. With 6 albums to her credit, why will Celestine Donko put the whole of Africa on an EP other than an album?
Well,
very interesting. The collaborations are wild.
Yeah, you can go myjoyonline.com to finish that story right there. And let me tell you about Rihanna, because she is expecting her first child with rapper boyfriend A$AP Rocky. The pregnant singer probably debuted her bare baby bump during an outing in Harlem, A$AP's hometown, over the weekend. Rihanna, 33, wore a long pink jacket that was kept closed by just one button and a pair of loose ripped jeans for the outing. She completed the look with a long embellished necklace which adorned her bump with jewels. People confirmed the couple was dating in 2020. The pair were friends first and have known each other for years, with A$AP even opening for Riri during her Diamonds World Tour. So, Ernest, congratulations to
Rihanna.
Yeah,
that's a nice
been long overdue.
Would you expose your bump?
Well, if I get the man and eventually...
Would you expose your bump?
I don't know. I don't know what my mom will say.
Becky, thank you very much for bringing that Showbiz. And that's it. If you're watching us on Joy Prime, that's it for the bulletin. If you're on Joy News, we have more stories for you. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. The General Secretary of the Opposition National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, says the NDC will not support the E-levy even when it's revised to a lower rate. Government has expressed readiness to reduce the E-levy to 1.5% from the original 1.75 after further consultation with stakeholders and the minority in Parliament. Speaking on the Pulse on the Joy News channel, Asiedu Nketia called for a total withdrawal of the tax for further consultation.
I've suggested to them that this E-levy must be taken back and then repackaged, engage all those who needed to be engaged. If it will take you 6 months to reintroduce it, by that time all this work would have been done and the nation would have built some consensus. Maybe during the engagement you could have suggestions of another means of raising the same money. It can be discussed.
The minority in Parliament is pushing for a no E-levy debate in the absence of the Speaker, Alban Badmin. Last Friday, the minority kicked against moves by the majority to reintroduce the levy, citing time constraint. Now, Joy News is learning that the Speaker, Alban Badmin, has left the country for medical checkup, a situation the NPP caucus lament would frustrate government business. But Deputy Minority Leader James Klucha-Veji, in an interview, admonished government to halt the reconsideration, arguing the opposition NDC will resist any attempt by the deputy speakers to participate during the voting on this controversial bill.
Yes, Speaker definitely is having his medical treatment. He cannot, or he should not, at the peril of his life, for what is happening. So we should give the Speaker the benefit of the doubt. He must treat himself because we need him. So if Speaker travel this weekend and will not be available next week, I think our advice to the majority side is that we should wait until the Speaker comes back. We want the Speaker to preside, then we'll vote on the matter. And once that is done, the end result will be a decision of the House, and whether the motion will be lost completely or the model will carry. That is something that will be done after But we want the speaker to be there. We don't want any of the deputies to sit so that what happened in 2021 should repeat itself. We don't want that. 9 million Ghanaians earn income. By our income tax law, they are supposed to pay income tax. That is direct tax. So, if currently only 2.4 million Ghanaians are paying tax, the remaining 6.6 million Ghanaians should be worked at. We should look at that angle. System to be put in place to ensure that people earn income and they pay the appropriate tax on it. That will even bring more money to government. If 2.4 million Ghanaians paying direct tax are paying over 37 or 30 billion Ghana cedis, you can imagine if additional 2.4 million also pay tax again. So we'll be adding additional 30 billion. That is more than 6.9 billion. So the laziest way to collect the revenue for government is to sit in the office, and even when you are eating or drinking beer, you are laughing because somebody is making transfer somewhere and money is coming to the consolidated fund. That should be the laziest means of doing that. There are many ways that they can do that. The Auditor General report, we should look at that where we can prevent that and save a lot of money.
Well, the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has endorsed this position. He spoke on the Pulse.
Engaging. And that can only lead to radicalization, because if you want us to discuss, we discuss not under the atmosphere of intimidation. We discuss with free minds. But you think that, well, let us threaten this man here, let us threaten that man here, and that, and then you are even attacking the moderates within our ranks. What do you think you are doing? You are radicalizing the rest, and even you are radicalizing the moderates. That is why you end up having, hardened positions which you cannot reconcile. So they still have not woken out of their dreams that they don't control what they claim they control. If they realize that, look, this is the end of our abilities, we need to engage and engage constructively, and engage not with deception, but with absolute good faith. They'll get proper engagement.
And still on the controversial E-levy, some residents of Wale Wale in the Northeast region have called on the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to stop the passage of the E-levy bill. Now, according to them, the passage will have adverse implications, including the collapse of their businesses and other sources of livelihood, which they say are already suffering as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the high cost of basic goods and services. The residents also claim the introduction of the levy will inure to the advantage of armed robbers operating in the area, as market women who may attempt to evade the payment of the levy will revert to the cash system. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko has more.
In Wale Wale, just like most parts of rural Ghana, many of the people do not have access to banking services as well as financial literacy. To add this to the problem is the issue of the rampant activities of armed criminals who take advantage of the financial inclusion gap to target most especially market women and small business owners. The introduction of mobile money services, however, provided the people with a secure way to safeguard their capital and investment from these criminal gangs, as they no longer carry huge amounts in cash on market trips. And with the ongoing controversy over whether or not to pass the electronic transaction levy, which foresees an additional 1.75% tax on mobile money payment, bank transfer, and other electronic transactions, residents of Wale Wale have been raising their concerns, among them a former Northern Regional Minister and a 2020 parliamentary candidate of the NDC for the Wale Wale constituency, Mr. Abdallah Abakar.
I would want to send a very important word to my elder brother, His Excellency the Vice President, that his constituency, the Wale Wale constituency, is one of the constituencies that is most hit by armed robberies on the periodic market days, when market women travel all the way from the villages to Wale Wale or Wale Wale back to the villages for market, like Pargo market, the Bulbia market, the Janga market, the Do market, they are periodically and rampantly subjected to street armed robbery where they lose their capital. The only safe haven for this woman, my brother, the vice president, is that they've always been able to elude the armed robbers by putting the money in their wallet, Momo wallet, and withdrawing them at the market centers, conducting their businesses, and whatever monies they also gain at the market centers are put in the wallet. Even if the phone is seized, by the way, home by the armed robber, you are still able to retrieve that money. So if the policy is good for everybody in Ghana, I would want to remind my big brother, the vice president, that that tax is not good for his people in the Wale Wale area, and then let him consider the plight of his people back home.
According to him, the attempts to impose such a levy abundantly exposes the desperation of an incompetent and a failing government.
Nobody will tell you that this government is desperate because they have mismanaged the economy, and their performance in managing the economy is so abysmal and appalling that they've decided to look everywhere for any money. So even at the moment, there is no longer discrimination as to what kind of money the government wants to mobilize. And for me, and my opinion on this matter is that, look, it is not a good tax. Government should consider the plight of the already suffering Ghanaians.
This man, Hamidu Abakari, a fridge technician in Wale Wale, says the levy will adversely affect his business as well as put pressure on his little income.
The E-levy there, we don't want it today, we don't want it tomorrow. From A to Z, we are against it. The vice president should come out and speak on the E-levy. We want him and we are begging him. He should come out and tell the majority that this
Mohammed Rabiu, a civil servant, thinks the levy is regressive and should not be passed.
E-levy is not the policy of Ghana problem. Are they telling us that when they pass E-levy next year, they will not look for more other taxes to add? If E-levy was the way forward, then why did they even increase percentage to about 15%? All other taxes has been increased 15%. So I think that it is only they are finding the cheapest and the easiest way. And they have been saying, we didn't even say. My own brother, our senior brother, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the vice president of the Parliament of Ghana, he himself said that it is not good for us to tax Momo. So are we now saying that all that he has been telling us was going to impose it out?
This 50-year-old commercial tricycle driver is also kicking against the passage of the levy. Several other people interviewed here for this story have also expressed outright rejection of the levy and urged the government to end the needless trade-off with a minority in parliament by withdrawing the bill forthwith. Reporting for Joy News, Ilyas Sotanko, Wale Wale.
Political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Professor Ransford Jampo, is calling for a total overhaul of the majority leadership in Parliament. Professor Jampo, who described the posture of the majority side as hawkish, argues that some of their pronouncement frustrates efforts at building genuine consensus. He said this in the latest Joy News Hotline documentary, Ghana's Hung Parliament, A Blessing or a Curse. Here are excerpts of that documentary.
Since the inception of the Fourth Republic, the governing party had always had an overwhelming majority in Parliament. But MPs were ushered into the 8th Parliament with equal numbers and one independent candidate. It's the first time in Ghana's history that the legislature recorded 170 male MPs from both sides and also 20 female MPs from the divide, plus an independent MP representing the people of Fomena in the Ashanti region. Some Ghanaians were excited about the current composition of Parliament, hoping that it would help the legislature to play its oversight responsibilities and sharpen the country's parliamentary democracy. Ransford Jampo is a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana.
If you have parliament and it's always one-sided,
one side led by majority and you always have minority and the majority will always have its way, then that parliament is deficient or will be deficient in functioning as a countervailing authority to the powers of the executive. When we got to 2020 and we held elections, Ghanaians said enough of that kind of parliament. They voted to give us a hung parliament. And for me, it is unique to the extent that it's not happened before. It is unique to the extent that now the majority group will not have the political strength or the political muscle to flex.
Governments, and it's not peculiar to Ghana, governments, ruling governments have agenda that they pursue. They need to drive the agenda with the approval of the legislature as provided in constitutions the world over. And so if you have the numbers and you are in government, it makes your work easy. If you don't have the numbers, then you have the added task of ensuring that the other side of the divide buys into your agenda and travels with you on the journey that you want to go.
So the first hurdle members of the governing NPP had to cross at the start of the 8th Parliament was to get the NDC caucus to back down on its quest to nominate a candidate for the speakership. But according to the minority, the NPP caucus failed to reach out on time. The party had already agreed to nominate Alban Babin as their candidate for the election of the speaker when former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, who at the time was still interested in being the speaker, reached out.
But I told him, bro, you know the difficulty that we have when we try to elect Peter Lajeti. I don't think my party will be willing to go through that path. But if your party can present you, and our party doesn't present a position, because as at that time, my party hadn't taken a decision as to whether we feature a speaker or not. If you can get your party to do this, and then my party doesn't put a candidate on my honor, you can count on me. Then he asks, okay, so what does it take to reach out? And I also added, sorry, that since after the election, nobody is reaching out from your end. So my party hasn't yet met. We are meeting today to consider what to do. And they said, oh, so sure. I said, yes. Okay, so what will be my solution? I said, well, I like Mama Jisu is the Council of Elders on our side. In my view, if you could talk to Hackman, who is the Council of Chairman of the Council of Elders, to start talking from the top. If some understanding is reached that, oh, let's allow the NPP to do their speaker thing, then it becomes easy. But obviously, as a way, I will stand by what my party said.
A minority determined to elect Alban Babin as Speaker of the 8th Parliament began mapping out strategies. The first was to court the support of the independent candidate, Andrew Isiama, of the Fomena constituency.
Yeah, and a lot of things happened.
What was his reaction?
He wanted time to think. And I can tell you one funny thing. I spent more time talking to his wife than himself. As part of my strategy. Talking to his wife and telling her what we were ready to offer, if he could come on board and what I'll do, until the powerful king called him. And then obviously we all respected that king.
So there were attempts to put him to the side of the NDC?
Yes, we did. And I think that we were almost succeeding. Then a powerful king called him. And then when he told me, I said, well, this is a king that myself I revered, so it will not be good to disobey him. That's my advice to you, is that you know how they treated you. Don't accept anything. If you accept a ministerial position, they will humiliate you.
And there are interesting revelations in that documentary. You don't want to miss it. It comes right after this bulletin at 8:30 p.m. So stay with us. Now, the government is saying it is progressively building an educational system to leapfrog the inequality in the sector, which has created the unintended consequences of low productivity in schools. Handing over 150 vehicles, including 100 buses and 50 pickups to heads of second cycle institutions at the Accra High School Monday afternoon, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said the gesture forms part of deliberate steps being taken by the administration to improve enrollment in and to increase access to quality education. That's more in the following report.
And all the buses well working and maintained throughout their life. Amen? Amen.
In a similar exercise in 2021, the Vice President handed over pickup trucks, buses, and motorbikes to senior high schools and second supervisors in a bid to promote efficiency in the educational sector. Dr. Bawumia at the handing over ceremony on Monday encouraged the head teachers to maintain the vehicles with the ultimate goal of training students who will actively participate in the transformation of the country.
It is well documented that the availability of good transportation for students positively impacts the quality of education delivery. An efficient transportation system in our schools increases student enrollment and encourages many students to stay in school. Indeed, it has been said that a dependable transportation system in schools improves the safety of students and makes teachers and students more productive. Also, an efficient transportation system in schools is key to hastening the economic transformation and the development of our country as envisioned by this government.
Minister of Education Dr. Yao Seyeduchum said the distribution of buses forms part of government's effort to transform the educational sector.
If the education system does not demonstrate quality, access, and relevance, it cannot change your fortunes. Other nations in the 21st century has transformed their fortunes because they transformed their education system. And this is the demonstration of the transformation. When the president said that in order to ensure that teaching and learning takes place very well in senior high schools, we should provide them means of transportation. It has been fulfilled, and let us thank him.
The 150 buses and 50 pickups have since been shared among the headmasters and headmistresses of the various schools.
And that's our package for tonight. Many thanks for your company. Please log on to myjoyonline.com. You'll find interesting stories there, including what Asiedu Nketi has been saying about the E-levy. You read more on that. And also some revelations in the documentary which will be showing after this bulletin. Many thanks for your company. Good evening.